Daily is daily Vikings entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.
I will ride with this group.
Seriously, man. Please.
And away we go.
All right, he's our guy, Darren Doogie Wolfson from the 5 Eyewitness News Sports Department here on Purple Daily. Some information, maybe some speculation about the Minnesota Vikings. There's never a dull moment following this football team. Whenever you think something is, this is how it's going to play out, boom, 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 there's always some sort of catch or some crazy thing that happens. So we'll talk about it. Carson Wentz is going to start, injury updates. But a shout-out to Awaken 180, Doogie, for helping you the last few weeks. Looking good, man.
Absolutely, Phil. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Yeah, Awaken 180 Weight Loss, awaken180weightloss.com. I am down over 10 pounds in just over 2 weeks, thanks to Awaken 180. I don't know if I'll ever get across the finish line trying to shed, for the YouTube audience, this double chin, but I am losing weight in my face. My face is skinnier. I wore a suit the other day. Can't remember if it was a Channel 5 hit, if it was a wedding I was at the other day, which I'll get to, but wore a suit I haven't worn in months. It's beautiful. Eat to lose weight. No calorie counting. Exercise is not required. The beauty of Awaken 180, part of the plan, they send me 80% of what I need to consume on a daily basis. When I wrap up with you guys, vanilla protein shake. Super good. I just add 8 ounces of water, shake it up. Boom. For those on the run, on the fly, it's an easy plan to follow. They hold you accountable as well. Coach Patrick, for me, is my guidance counselor. He pushes me along. He gives me all the advice I need. At colleague/good friend Alec Osmus's wedding on Saturday, great venue in downtown St. Paul, was able to have a good time. Hey, if you're going tailgating on Sunday for the big Carson Wentz, Jake Browning matchup, you can have a good time. Even had an adult beverage or two. Like, you can still live your normal life, but it's all about just knowing what to eat, when to eat. Awaken 180 Weight Loss is absolutely on fire for me. It is working. I love it. Awaken180weightloss.com is the website to schedule a consultation. Awaken 180 Weight Loss. Awaken180weightloss.com.
How ready do we think Carson Wentz is to step in here and win a football game? I don't know, move the ball, gain a first down. What should the expectation be for the offense with Carson Wentz driving it this weekend, Dukes?
Well, I do think it's a favorable matchup. I don't think that Bengals defense is a great defense.
They don't blitz.
I'd like to think that Christian Darrisaw is back on Sunday. So when thinking about Trey Hendrickson, but hey, I did think Christian Darrisaw was in a position to play against Atlanta, but I was also reminded by somebody. So remember Jalen Nailor. Jalen Nailor, August 14th, suffers a pretty severe left hand injury. The Vikings medical staff told Jalen, let's go the conservative route. No surgery. You will be out 5 to 6 weeks. In other words, he would have missed the Chicago game and the Atlanta game. I can make a case Jalen Nailor has been as good a player for the Vikings as anyone through the first 2 weeks. Hasn't always gotten the ball when open, but he's been pretty darn good, okay? Well, he sought out a second opinion. It was the second opinion that said, okay, we can find a way with a procedure to get you back on the field that much sooner. So the Vikings, TJ Hawkinson last year. Now, hey, watching TJ, you can see that the Vikings maybe made the right call end of last year. But TJ, I got the sense, was ready before the Vikings put him back on the field. So right or wrong, the Vikings medical staff, their training staff, a bit more conservative. But I'd like to think that Carson Wentz has Christian Darrisaw on Sunday. So how high is the expectation for Wentz? Well, KOC on Monday was pretty clear. Hey, I felt pretty comfortable if McCarthy had come out on Sunday. The same menu of plays would have been available for Carson Wentz. But Phil, it is fascinating. It is amazing that he is about to start for his 6th team in the last 6 years. Completely unheard of in NFL history. Exactly.
So, Dukes, beyond McCarthy, we've got Ryan Kelly, concussion protocol, does not look good. Justin School, of course, if Darisaw comes back, that's a slam dunk regardless. Aaron Jones, though, hamstring. O'Connell said he's probably going to be down on Sunday, which means to me he will not play. Any scuttlebutt about bringing in anybody else for either the backup to Jordan Mason and Ty Chandler, and or a veteran center who has played a bit more? Because Michael Juergens was the backup last year. He took part in training camp with the second team, but there is really almost no experience to speak of there in games other than what he got Sunday night.
I've not heard any center scuttlebutt. They still have a healthy opinion of Michael Juergens. Yeah, Ryan Kelly with his concussion history. Now, KOC said, hey, Ryan came into the building on Monday, all things considered, in a decent spot. But I'll tell you what, you look at Ryan Kelly's concussion history, incredibly worrisome, troubling. I will tell you, Judd, today, I don't have every name, but the Vikings are working out free agents in Eagan. I know for sure 2 running backs that have a return background. So are they thinking about maybe not having Ty Felton back there, or maybe Miles Price just as a punt returner, not a kick returner? I know, still working on the names, but I know, like, if you look at some of the numbers from last year, look at some of the top return men, look at the names that are currently available. I know at least one of those guys is in Eagan right now for a workout. So yeah, with a running back background, Aaron Jones, hamstring. We always say hamstring, tricky injury. Yeah, I don't foresee Aaron Jones playing on Sunday. It could be longer than that with Aaron Jones. So yeah, they are working guys out. I've yet to hear about bringing in another quarterback, but I'm thinking, like, you need a number 3 quarterback, somebody else just to sling the ball. Yeah, Max Brosmer can run scout team, but it wouldn't surprise me. So I'll continue to dig on that as the day progresses. But what I heard for sure was at least a couple running backs with return backgrounds in Eagan today.
You bring up the name Brosmer, so I'll kick that door open here. There's Vikings fans love him, and there's a lot of Vikings fans who are Gophers fans, and they followed him and the really good season he had under PJ Fleck. And you know, we love an underdog story here, an undrafted free agent who looks really good throughout the offseason workouts and preseason games. Is, from what you can gather, and you covered him in college, and now throughout you were at a bunch of practices talking to people, is Max Brosmer more Kyle Sloter, who, like, hey, look at this guy flashing during the meaningless, off season, but he's really actually nowhere, like, the coaching staff would never actually put him in as a starter or meaningful games? Or if Carson Wentz turns an ankle in the first quarter and Brosmer comes in, is he a guy that they think can play and has a long-term future here? What are you hearing about the coaching staff and the organization's thoughts on him?
Yeah, Phil, more the latter, not the former. He certainly isn't Kyle Sloter. If you look at Kyle Sloter's Twitter account, I can tell you that much. Max is incredibly intelligent, incredibly smart, high football IQ, high overall IQ. So yeah, Max Brosmer is going to be the number 2 quarterback this week. I have not heard otherwise. And hey, I'll tell you what. Yeah, Carson Wentz was staying in shape, but he's only been here 3 weeks. Like, is he truly in the necessary football shape? And hey, after watching Will Fries and Donovan Jackson struggle like they did on Sunday, now, hey, again, I think it's a good matchup, a favorable matchup against that Bengals defense. But I'm starting to worry a little bit about their blocking, the interior of the offensive line. So what if Wentz takes a nasty hit on Sunday? I'm just saying, yeah, I mean, they trust Max enough, right? Like, when you make the move on Rippon, when you make the move to move on from Sam Howell, yeah, the faith was there in Max Brosmer. But let's also remember some of the competition he faced in the preseason. Yeah, he looked brilliant at times, but that's not exactly the Bengals' number 1 defense, or TJ Watt and the Steelers week 4, if necessary. So, yeah, but a lot changes. But still, I mean, I think it's trending. Like, I still feel like Max Brosmer this time next year is QB2. So continuing to trend in the right direction. They certainly like him enough. And yeah, by all accounts, he will be the number 2 quarterback on Sunday. But I also think deep down the Vikings are praying that Carson Wentz doesn't get hurt.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And so despite what KO, and you brought this up, said at the press conference on Monday, okay? I have a hard time believing that the entire playbook that was open to McCarthy, who had been here studying the plays for a year plus, is going to be the playbook that they use in full against the Bengals. Like Carson Wentz, I mean, he's played a long time. I'm not saying, and some of this probably does come directly from his time with the Rams. It probably translates a bit. But I'm very curious to see what O'Connell does from a play calling standpoint, because I also, it's hard for me to believe that a guy who has probably a pretty intricate playbook is going to open up the entire thing for Wentz. So I'm wondering what the offense is going to look like in operation against Cincinnati.
Oh, I'm with you. I mean, I think, a good amount of Jordan Mason, hoping that Wentz can execute at least that one screen pass that JJ McCarthy failed on against Atlanta. So involving the screen game, I feel like, although I felt like heading into the Chicago game, it was going to be a good TJ Hawkinson game. Now, it was from a blocking standpoint. Had a number of Vikings tell me that week that was the best that TJ Hawkinson has ever blocked. They just thought the blocking game Hawkinson had against Chicago was phenomenal. But in terms of targets, catches, like I feel like TJ Hawkinson, it's coming as soon as this Sunday. And so, I mean, I think it is going to be dummied down. Maybe that's not the right verbiage, but simplified.
Scaled back.
Yeah, I'm with you. Certainly scaled back, right? That, it's not going to be the exact JJ McCarthy playbook. I think that's safe to say.
So obviously the ankle injury had an impact in the second half for McCarthy, kind of. I mean, he also, like, he played through it. He was moving around. It was sore when you wake up on Monday and then they do a diagnosis. I don't think even he would say the ankle injury is why I am, and we did this on the State of the Vikings episode. He is 33rd among 34 qualified quarterbacks, Dukes. JJ McCarthy, through the first 2 games of his career, 33rd in passer rating, QBR, expected points added, and PFF grade. He is 33rd in all of those categories. I wasn't expecting him to come out and be, Patrick Mahomes 2018 out of the gate. But I was expecting something better than 33rd in all those categories. I am a little shocked that the whole operation, and it's not all just on McCarthy, and the injuries have factored into the offensive line, no doubt. But I thought the whole thing packaged together would be a little closer to league average in some of these offensive categories from what we've seen with KOC working with backup quarterbacks in the past and Sam Darnold last year than the putrid nature of the offense. Has it been a little jarring to you the first couple games?
It has. I mean, rightfully so. I raised the bar because of the infrastructure in place.
Yeah.
Coaching / talent around JJ. Yes, it's his first time starting, but you think about so many other first-time starters. What sort of support staff is there in place? It certainly doesn't match what the Vikings have now. Now, yes, undoubtedly, miss your stud left tackle. Heck, the receiver he had the best chemistry with during training camp, Jordan Addison, out. So I think it's fair to say that, to lay that out, but it's also fair to say he has absolutely stunk. There's no other way to spin it. He's been putrid. How do you miss that screen pass? How do you not throw the ball more outside on the first interception? We can go up and down the list. He has missed so many throws. It's been really bad. So yes, Phil, it has been jarring. But I'm not going to sit here and make some sort of grandiose statement that because of these 2 games, he's the next Christian Ponder. Or I'm not going to say, hey, like Jaden Daniels wasn't great his first 8 games last year, then took off, that JJ McCarthy absolutely is the next Jaden Daniels. I'm not making any sort of big declaration. But yes, in the moment, if you're asking me to analyze these 8 quarters, 7 have been as bad as it gets. So yeah, I did not expect this. Maybe we're starting to see why the Vegas over-under was 8.5. I thought, hey, you go over. It's not like I expected, 12, 13, 14 wins, but I thought, hey, 10 wins, 10-7, that makes a lot of sense. To me, that's still very achievable, but maybe we're seeing why there was some money on the under. Vegas is all about acquiring that juice, right? So, hey, if a lot of people were hammering the over, the over would have gone up. It may have gone up significantly. It really didn't move, right? Like, I think, Declan, you would know best, right? But like a kickoff Monday night against the Bears, wasn't it still 8.5? Maybe there's a reason why. We're starting to see that the question marks about JJ were all legitimate.
I think one of the things that I have seen so far or saw in the first 2 games that strikes me as positions like quarterback look easy for those who are great. They drop back, they throw in 2 seconds, and it's like, oh, yeah, okay, of course, right? JJ McCarthy, and this is where I'm just hoping it's the experience of playing in the National Football League for the first time. JJ McCarthy shows you the speed at which the game moves, which you're not supposed to see because guys are ordinarily, it's the defense comes, they're great, the quarterback is great, and everybody moves, and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, okay, cool. But when you watch McCarthy, it's literally, I mean, let's take away just for a second, guys, the physical things. And look, the windup on the throwing motion's a little bit long. There are some definite things. But to me, it comes down to this. You can see his head spinning. And that's where I'm very curious to see how quickly he can get past that. Like, you can literally see him thinking in the pocket, well, that's not going to work. But that's what has struck me. And it struck me on Sunday. And Atlanta, look, they came with blitzes. They did different things. But that's how the league operates. That's not like some special, oh, my God, the Atlanta Falcons are this brilliant team. So that's where I think Kevin O'Connell himself might be a little bit surprised at how long it's taking McCarthy to process things and how quickly can you get that to a point where it no longer is obvious to the naked eye of people watching on TV or in the stands.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair. I mean, you consider the history of KOC, Raheem Morris. I don't think Atlanta throwing all these different looks at JJ McCarthy surprised KOC. It's going to continue to happen. Imagine all the looks that the Bengals will throw at Carson on Sunday when JJ returns. You know, if that's after the bye, think about the Eagles, the Ravens, the Chargers. It's going to be all sorts of different looks. He has to process all of that. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know how else to say it or spin it. I'm still a believer. I've said that for a long time. I've been bullish on JJ McCarthy. I'm not wavering from that stance, but what we've seen so far, very, very, very concerning.
Yeah. It'll be, by the way, on the Bengals, I kind of blurted this out a few minutes ago. What's interesting about their defense is they have the lowest blitz rate of any team in the NFL through 2 games. They have sent an extra man. This is from Pro Football Reference. I think a blitz constitutes sending an extra rusher. I don't know if they count. Let's say you've got, it'd be sending a 5th guy essentially. If you drop back a pass rusher and replace him with a corner blitz or something, I don't know how they classify and sharpen this pencil, but they've only blitzed twice in 2 games according to the Pro Football Reference definition. Now they probably run a bunch of twists and stunts and do different things. So, but it's interesting the difference in strategy compared to Flores, who is still sitting at like a 40%, 35-40% blitz rate. But yeah, Carson Wentz. This is going to be the good version of Carson Wentz is a really good player the last few years, but he can also blue screen of death, sabotage a game unlike any quarterback in the league. So it is a mystery box of all mystery boxes here, Doogie, that the Vikings are getting themselves into this weekend.
I mean, this was their guy though, right? And my sense is this was Carson throughout the spring and summer waiting to see if a clear-cut number 1 opportunity presented itself. Now, hey, we can certainly second guess going back to March. Why not go get Mac Jones or somebody else that maybe you would have preferred in this spot? So I think it's fair to have that conversation. But based on what they saw from Sam Howell, Brett Rippon, like they're plenty happy that they didn't need to turn to one of those guys, that Carson was on their radar going back a bit. But yeah, I have no idea, Phil, right? It's the beauty of covering this team. There is always something. There really is. And yeah, I have no idea whatsoever what to expect, but I'm looking forward to being there on Sunday.
I am going to ask you a recklessly speculative question here in just a moment after we shout out those Vikings scratch game tickets, Judd.
Let's do that exactly, because guess what? With a new Vikings scratch game, this could be your year. It could be your season. It could be your day. Every time that you play the Vikings scratch game, you have a chance at $100,000 plus great second chance prizes like cash and Viking season tickets. So just say I'm in and play the new Viking scratch game. Must be 18 or older to play with our friends from the Minnesota Lottery. That Viking scratch game. The Vikings might not be winning right now, but guess what? You can with that scratch game.
You could also be winning. You could be Doogie's in. You could also be winning at the Minnesota Renaissance Festival. So there's 2 weekends left of the Minnesota Renaissance Festival. So if you've been kicking it around with your family, your friends, your significant other, time is of the essence here. 2 weekends left, Minnesota Renaissance Festival, weekends, 9 a.m. until 7 p.m., where you can get into some fun things like throwing axes, wielding swords, live armored combat jousting. There's also tons of great food and drink options, tasty turkey legs, Nordic meatballs, pork belly burnt ends, etc. You can find a full schedule at renaissancefest.com. That's renaissancefest.com.
Reckless speculation.
All right. It's funny. Every time a random backup-ish quarterback comes in, everyone's like, oh, this is going to be a disaster. Case Keenum, Jeff George, Matt Castle, disaster, right? Sam Darnold, what are they thinking? And almost every time in Vikings history, that backup caliber quarterback who was once good and is now fading into the twilight of his career sits up like the Undertaker and like takes the Vikings to the playoffs or beyond. So I just want to, last year before the season started, Sam Darnold was regarded as career backup or maybe close to out of the league. In his first 3 games in the Kevin O'Connell system, he completes 68% of his passes, 8 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and a 117 passer rating. First 3 games out of the chute under Kevin O'Connell.
Oh, yeah.
Including
against the Niners. Like, when you do that against the San Francisco 49ers, that's when my eyes were completely wide open. I'm like, okay, Giants performance, cool. Then he does it against the Niners. I'm like, all right, this is the real deal.
So let's say McCarthy's going to be out, I think, through the bye. So let's say Carson Wentz gets 3 games here to navigate this offense. Let's say he puts up similar productivity to Sam Darnold. Just absolute, like, wow, okay, the offense is moving here. Whoa, didn't realize Wentz had some juice left. Kevin O'Connell, quarterback rehab school. What do you do after the bye week if that happens?
So
what do you think they'll do?
Against the defending champion Philadelphia Eagles, Carson's former team. He's got a lot of former teams, but Carson's former team. So he is lights out, Phil, for 3 straight weeks. It's a high ankle sprain. So, yeah, do I think JJ will be in a relatively good spot by October 19th? I do. Do I think the ankle will be all the way back? I'm not so sure on a high ankle sprain. All right, how good? Right, because I'm still trying to figure out McCarthy with his guy Jordan Addison, McCarthy with Christian Darrisaw. How much does that change things? I still, if I'm the Vikings, want to see JJ with those 2 guys in particular. But if Carson is completely lights out, the Vikings are 4-1 heading into the bye, in large part because of Carson Wentz. You beat the Bengals. You beat the Steelers. You beat the Browns. I'll tell you what, internally, it would be one hell of a conversation. I just know they still want to get a good read, a book on JJ McCarthy. So my first inclination is October 19th, JJ McCarthy back under center. But I do pause. It's a great question to throw out there.
But what's interesting to me about this, and I agree completely. I mean, they're in on McCarthy, but here's where I find it to be really, really interesting. Let's say they win. Let's say that McCarthy is set to come back, and they've lost 2 games and won, 3 at that point? 3-2. And the issue to me is if Wentz is playing well, I mean, let's say he's not lights out, but let's say he's just playing well. He's a veteran quarterback that doesn't look panicked and knows what he's doing. If you're Kevin O'Connell, if you're the Vikings, how do you go in the locker room and say, okay, just trust us here? Because again, and we've talked about this a lot, you've got a lot of veteran guys who are here to win right now. Like, they're not here for 2027.
It can, although, like, I get it. If JJ wasn't voted a team captain, it would have been weird. Like, starting quarterback, team captain. It just didn't make sense, right? But there's something to be said about him being among the top 8, among 28 players that received captain votes. I still think a lot of his teammates look back at that fourth quarter in Chicago and say, it's there. He's capable. We love this guy. Jonathan Allen telling me, hey, JJ brings me out to Hazeltine. We play around to golf. Like, he really won me over. I don't think 3 games of Carson Wentz, known journeyman, like, I don't think that changes things all that much.
Yeah.
I don't. And I'm not saying I know that for sure. I could be sorely mistaken on that, Judd. I don't think. And hey,
it's just rough. Yeah.
They could be 4-1. Maybe not 3-2. Maybe it is 4-1. I still think the schedule sets up for them to be 4-1. Maybe the Pittsburgh game is a bit more dicey, but I still think 4-1 is pretty darn realistic, even with Carson Wentz. But yeah, I don't know. I still think it's JJ's show mid-October.
Yeah. We do have to run here. Loaded day of podcast recordings here on Score Up. But Doogie, we'll do it again in a couple days.
One other injury update. Blake Cashman. Like, you think about Sunday. Yeah. I mean, heck, I could argue they missed Harrison Phillips a ton on Sunday, but certainly missed Blake Cashman. Eric Wilson played fine. Like, when I think about players that struggled mightily, it's not like Eric Wilson is anywhere near the top of the list. In fact, Allen and Hargrave, they struggled on Sunday. Heck, Fries and Jackson, you think about the interior of both lines. Not good games on Sunday. But Blake Cashman, I think, was missed when you think about everything Atlanta was able to accomplish. He is trending in the right direction. Yes, he's on IR, so he's out through the bye, but trending in the right direction for Cashman to return come after the bye.
Yeah. He's Darren Doogie Wolfson from the 5 Eyewitness News Sports Department. Some information, some speculation about the Vikings. All right, Dukes, we'll see you in a couple days, man. Good catching up.
Okay, sounds good. We'll chat on Thursday. See you, boys.
All right,
Bye-bye.
Purple Daily.
Thanks,
365 days a year of Vikings takes, just slinging them.